All right, Nick, good evening. We're recording here on Monday night, and we got a couple things that we want to talk to our people at Mission about, and by extension, I guess whoever wants to watch us talk to our people at Mission. But the first thing that I'm going to mention that we're coming back to is we're going to dig a little more into reopening the church, but again, not telling you how we're doing it, but we want to get at your heart and how you treat one another as we do this. So we're coming back to that. First, we want to talk about these mission mini grants that we have announced at church now, and they've been emailed about, and we want to encourage you to submit those this week. So this is the 4th of May. We want to see those come in by the end of the week. And Nick, tell them the details.
Yeah, so here's the details. We've been given a small donation to create mini grants to local individuals or small businesses or large businesses, whatever. We've been given a small amount of money that we can dole out as grants to help people who are really affecting our community in a positive way. And so when we were given that amount of money, we thought, man, what's the best way to keep our people on mission? What's the best way to keep them thinking not just about themselves, but about how to further the kingdom of God and how to benefit Tucson as a whole? And then we came together and said, you know, really what we should be doing is putting it out to our community and saying, you guys nominate someone who is not yourself, someone else who you believe needs this grant to continue to be a blessing in Tucson. And so that means that you nominate maybe a coffee shop or a small restaurant or an individual that you see as needed and valuable within the community, that blesses the community. And then we're going to take all of those submissions and then begin to process them and see where we can dole out this money. And so I would say, one, this is an opportunity to really, really bless our community. Two, it's an opportunity to be on mission because we're going to, as a church, go into local businesses or people who don't know Jesus and say, hey, man, as a church, we love you. You've been nominated. Number three, the person who gave this grant, like, that's a huge deal. And this reveals this person's heart. And this person's heart is for Tucson and for ministry. And so we want to be in line with that as well. So really, we need submissions rolling in, and then we need to cap it by the end of the week and then be able to give that money out.
Yep, exactly. So do that. So if you're part of our church or not, you should nominate somebody. And if you don't have anybody, that's okay. We are going to have to pick the best ones, the ones that apply the best. But yeah, you should go and make those submissions. If you can hear my dogs barking in the background, I'm sorry about that. They're going insane. Yeah. I don't know.
I'm a little worried. My Hannah's out doing like a bicycle thing or something right now. And I'm worried she's going to open the garage door and pull in right now.
Yeah.
That might happen.
That might happen. That's the quarantine life. So speaking of the quarantine life that everybody wants to be over, and I think everybody really does want, well, no, there are a few people that like it, but most people want it to be over. So let's, reopening is a big discussion everywhere, but especially here in Tucson, because we had the governor, is of course on live today and talking about how restaurants are going to be able to have people inside starting on Monday, and how non-essential retail can reopen as early as today and, open in greater amounts by Friday. So around here in Arizona, as in many other places, it's about to get real. So, people are already have a lot of feelings about this, and as the things start to change and announcements get made, there's just going to be more talk. So I think in our community, Nick, tell me if I'm wrong. I think there's three groups of people I'm observing, and this is, I would say, in Tucson, but I'm proud to say, now I emphasize, I am proud to say, I think they're all in our church as well. And I think this is what I want to emphasize tonight. We're not all the same at Mission Church. We don't all have the same kind of views. That is a picture of the kingdom of God. It's how it should be, but it's going to make things less simple. So
super messy.
Yeah. Anyway, the three groups, I think there is a group that thinks that reopening is for idiots, that it is stupid, it is foolish, and that people are going to die, that it is a terrible idea. Okay? Group one. Group two thinks that not reopening is stupid, that it is for idiots, and that if we do not reopen, people are going to lose their livelihoods and maybe die, and terrible things are going to happen. And if you don't reopen, you are a fool. This is then the extreme, but I'm seeing those two. That's how it feels in the media.
Social media.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's the third group, which is not too sure, somewhere in the middle, like acting out of one or the other at given moments. And I feel very much this way. Like, I have a mask in my pocket that I'm not using a lot, and I'm out and about a lot more, but I'm not trying to be reckless, but I'm also kind of feeling like I got to get some things done. And especially like Nick and I here, we're in business. And so if businesses can reopen, we kind of need to do that. We need some cash flow. So anyway, I feel like I'm in this group of I get both feelings, but I'm not angry. I'm just sort of trying to figure out what's the balance I can have.
Right.
Are there any other groups I'm missing?
No, I think those are the groups. I think for me personally, I land in the third group.
Yeah.
Sometimes, well, and I think I've said this numerous times during our little video sessions, but I instinctually want to break the rules. Just as a human being raised by my parents, that's who I am. I want to break the rules. As Pastor Nick, definitely don't want to break the rules. So that's a weird thing I exist in. And then within the realm of Pastor Nick and Business Nick, I'm I want to protect everybody, but also I understand people are relying on me for the livelihood.
Right.
That's two huge realms of responsibility that I live on.
Yes.
So when it came to Governor Ducey's kind of announcements today, what hit was just a swing of 4 different realms that I exist in.
Yeah.
What I see in each one of them, except for maybe just the rule breaker, let's remove him. Bye, friend. The other 3, what I see is, man, there are godly, gospel-centered benefits of each one.
Yeah.
And so protecting people and saving lives, that is that's Jesus-centered. That's important. Helping people flourish and benefit in their lives, that's Jesus-centered. Dwelling in the realm of how do we run with liberty and economy and social justice and safety, that's all a discussion that has to be gospel-centric.
Yeah.
And so at the end of the day, this has to be considered not as a one view fits all, but rather this is nuanced, and we have to understand everybody's perspective coming into it.
Now, the trouble is going to be that you, individual, anybody, myself, are always going to see. So it's funny because Nick and I just classified ourselves as the third group that's kind of in the middle and, not really on one side or the other. There would be people out there, I'm sure, who would be like, no, you are one of those. If you're not pro reopening fully, you're against it. And if you're not pro social distancing and hunker down in your house, you're against it. Right? And here comes
my garage door is opening right now.
Yep. Perfect.
It is.
Yep.
This is going to be an endeavor.
We're going to have bright lights shining in, or Hannah's going to go, ah.
Yeah.
She goes, oh, sure.
She already feels bad because she knows she's interrupting something.
Yeah.
Oh, and Rochelle feels bad too. She's in the car as well.
Good. Yeah, that's really good. They should feel
Yeah.
Everyone should feel that. That's the message of our video.
Hi guys.
All right, we better keep trucking through this because
Yeah, we're still
here we are. Here we are.
All right.
So you're always going to think of yourself as the moderate, and the other people are not, right? And so similarly, the people who are, I think the people I hear who are talking about there needs to be a reopening right now would say, but I'm all for safety and I want all that, but you can't keep the economy closed. And then the people who are all for staying home and social distancing would say, I'm for business. I want business to happen, but it has to be done in creative ways. You can't risk these lives. So everybody's going to consider that they have a certain amount of moderation.
Yeah. Sorry. I can barely hear you now. This is where I was shutting.
Exciting.
This is
well, dogs, cars. See, are you getting the messiness of this video? This illustrates the messiness of this situation.
This was all intentional.
It's a metaphor. This video is a metaphor.
Yeah.
And so I guess like here's the deal. I mean, there is no, there's no way in which this isn't complicated. There's no way in which there aren't differences of opinion. There is no way, if you're going to live in the city of Tucson, if you're going to be, frankly, households are probably divided on this kind of stuff. Churches are going to be divided on this kind of stuff. There, at some point, you're going to have to choose to have a viewpoint that you hold and to go beyond just tolerating someone else's viewpoint, but to actually love and deeply respect somebody else who feels completely different than you on this, in order to have any kind of unity, in order to not be mad at people and to divide over this. Because this, interestingly, this kind of thing, I mean, I've noticed that like deep theological differences, people can sometimes live together and work through that kind of stuff. This kind of thing will come along and divide a church to the core. And if I were rewriting, portions of C.S. Lewis's Screw Tape Letters right now, I would say that the demons, right, pick stuff like this to destroy churches, and make people hate the faith and hate one another.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know, there are all sorts of layers to spiritual warfare, but this is probably one of them. And I think what we need to fight is turning on one another over something that isn't. Is it important? Of course it's important. You care about it, so it's important. But it's not ultimate.
Yeah.
And it's not worth dividing.
Yeah. I was going to say, each one of these things, every position that you take, whatever position you take, is based on a set of values that you have.
Yeah. And
in the end, the question is, what do we value the most? And what we value the most is love. That's what God displayed. That's what God the Father displayed. Jesus Christ, the Son, displayed. And what the Holy Spirit continues growing in us, right? For the Spirit is love. And so I think at the end of the day, we say, man, we've got all of these different views, but the value we hold to the most is we love one another, especially in the church.
Yeah.
Man, that's a place for division. We're going to really love one another as a family. And then that love as a family then spreads out beyond those right now Zoom walls into the community around us. And so we get to love one another, we get to love God, and we get to love those who are not yet one another's, those who don't follow Christ. That has to be our highest value.
A key thing to loving one another too, and I think you would see this in, let's use a marriage, for example. Let's say that my wife, she feels loved when I give her compliments. And I don't think that that's what she needs. I think that let's say I decide I think she needs actually to have a more, I don't know, that she needs some critiques. She needs some critiques. And I decide that's how I would really love her. So I critique her. I don't give her the compliments. Her experience will be that I don't love her. And that will drive us apart. So I can stand all day long on like, no, I thought this was love. I think this is love. I say this is love. But if it's not what she considers to be love and what is important to her, what matters, putting her above myself, then I haven't loved her well. I have to ask the question, what does she experience as love? So a key thing in the question of loving one another is to say to yourself, what is it that wouldn't just be loving in my opinion, but how could I treat these people in a way that they would experience as being loved and cared for and respected? And I think that's important because I think that we all are going to stand our ground on what we think is love and how it should be. But unless we're actually considering the needs of the other person, we won't love them. And love requires you lay down what you want and your rights for the other person.
Yeah. Well, I think
difficult.
Something I say in every single wedding I perform. So I just did another wedding this weekend, Zoom wedding, very exciting. Was that we must not judge one another, condemn one another, and we need to forgive one another every day from the bottom of our hearts. Yeah. And without that, no union, especially not marriage, will ever succeed.
Yeah.
And so, that wasn't me, that's Dietrich Bonhoeffer. And so he writes this as he's preparing for his wedding day on his way to be martyred. And he's considering, man, what does marriage look like? What does relationship, what does love look like? And he's like, at the very least, it's forgiving one another and saying, I disagree, I think you've done wrong, and I will love you nonetheless. So I think that's the posture we must move forward in is we're going to disagree, we're not going to condemn, we're going to love.
Yeah.
And we're going to love in our disagreement, which means we have to die at some point to ourselves in some capacity.
Something that's really, really important to me, I will let go of for you. That could mean and I'm not, we haven't even decided what we're doing with reopening, but that could mean I really think we should all be in the building, but we're going to wait. Or it could mean I think we should not be in the building, but I'm going to speak highly of those who are, even if I abstain. It can mean a lot of things, right? And so, but whatever we do, however we do it, it's going to take genuine love. And I want to go beyond that and say sacrificial love to do this well. Because if we don't do that, we will pick each other apart, condemn each other. We might, split ways in certain in moments, and it will not have been worth it. And the enemy will have gotten a foothold, and we don't want that.
I completely agree. Completely.
All right. So think about these things, and you can always reach out to us personally and talk about this. We're trying to talk to you in the most personal medium we have right now to the group, but you can email us, Andy@missionchurchtucson.com, Nick@missionchurchtucson.com. You have our phone number. You can call us. If you don't, email us. Give us yours. We'll call you. But we will talk to you about these things, whatever you need to do. So seriously, love one another. So that's all I got.
That's it, man. We're done.
We're done. Good night, or whatever time of the day it is for you. And we'll talk to you next time.